Who is the founder and CEO of Tonsa Telecom. I request Sridar to introduce the rest of the panel. We'll make sure that the questions at the end of the session. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohan. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick word. I know that, guess what? We have been given this acid test. Somehow complete this session in 30 minutes, including the questions. So I guess that's an ongoing debate here since morning. But let me do the best I can. And I've also advised my brilliant panelists here to follow the same. So just a word about this event, NASSCOM. I think these guys, NASSCOM, have done a fantastic job. I don't think there's any alternative to introducing and institutionalizing the concept of productizing IT. There's no other way that we'll ever build a digital economy that's going to grow at nonlinear speeds. So a big hands off for NASSCOM for that one. I think it's a fantastic event, great job. One other thing I wanted to share with you guys. I've seen about 10 years ago in the Valley, I used to be working with a company at that time in the Valley. It was a 12-people organization that was building an enterprise PBX product, hosted, which was doing $12 million revenue and got acquired for $200 million in 2.5 years. Another great reason to take enterprise mobility seriously. All right, so what do we have today? We have a very good panel here. My good friends, Sukesh, Jain, Mr. Dhandapani, Jinen, and Bala. But before I get into those details, I want to spend a quick 1 minute giving you an introduction on the space of enterprise mobility. Why is this important? And what is causing this big deal about enterprise mobility? If you look at it, the number one thing about enterprise mobility, or a single word to define this whole space, is churn, right? If you look at the user plane, for example, the devices, the number of OSs, the number of apps that are supported is going to throw chaos, if not already, into the enterprise. And you look at the organization structures, no longer organizations hiring by hundreds everywhere. Everybody is increasingly depending on outsourced, freelancing type communities distributed across the world. So the organization structure itself is loose and fluid. This level of churn is only going to get worse, and you would expect it to provide the level of support for both your employees and consumers, enterprise suppliers, and so on, without losing security, managing and maintaining the harmony of the organization, at the same time making sure the freelancers are comfortable with their products and services and applications as required. Point number 2 is APIs. The level of APIification, if you will call it, in every industry, from manufacturing, publishing, content, and so on, I think is going to be so dramatic, is going to be causing such a level of churn that sitting here in Bangalore, you might as well be better than an employee who's actually in-house for a Fortune 100 publishing business somewhere in New York. That is the level of flexibility APIs are going to provide you. And the developer community here, and in this conclave at large, should understand, and I'm sure already understands, that's probably the reason you're here, the APIification of every industry, I think is going to be the big trend for the next 10 years. Think about the telcos. In my mind, the telco 2.0 is meeting the enterprise 2.0 through the cloud, right? Because we never had the luxury of ability to host enterprise applications at will. Today you can actually run a 100-people organization out of the blue with minimal startup efforts, and the entire enterprise infrastructure actually hosted by a telco. So that is causing a tremendous amount of churn, and it's going to put the CIO in a huge high churn position, because he now has to give up the traditional powers and manage a new set of demand factors from a telco, from a CIO perspective, and so on. Think about enterprise infrastructure vendors. They're churning too. Enterprise infrastructure is now getting into the telco infrastructure, such as Oracle and so on. The traditional telco infrastructure business vendors are moving away into other areas. So this is exactly the hot spot of enterprise mobility, where plenty of churn at every level is going to cause a complete disruption of existing landscape. So what is in it for you and I? Wherever there is churn, there's an opportunity. And that is the opportunity we want to talk about today. And to talk about this enterprise mobility opportunity, we are looking at some insights from some folks who have already been there and done that, and some young folks who are willing to do that and taking the step already. On my left, we have Mr. Bala. Bala is the founder director of Field EZ, an important startup that's already beginning to get some large enterprises in their stride, have signed up and are delivering services to these folks. And we have Jinen. Jinen Dedhia is a co-founder and director of a company called Drona. Drona provides end-to-end consumer and enterprise learning and communications services delivery through mobile enterprise app. And also we have Sukesh Jain, who is the CMO of Bharti Airtel and is managing the Bharti Airtel's business, enterprise particularly. And Mr. Dhandapani, who is currently the head of strategy, enterprise strategy, and is the CIO for the TVS Sundaram Clayton Group for the last 30 years, and is currently running the enterprise global strategy for the operation. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. I want to just start off this discussion with a couple of quick questions, maybe to Mr. Dhandapani yourself. With your large experience, about 30 years in this industry, just a quick question for any opening comments on the context of this discussion. Do you think this is relevant? Do you think this is old hat? Or do you think this is really a big deal in the enterprise today?
Yeah, thank you. It's highly relevant. I mean, I cannot agree for more than that, especially for manufacturing and also the enterprise in general. Basically, a lot of things which are done at the normal level has been extended to mobility now, and the initiatives are taken not only for the consumers of information but also for the producers of information. As much as for every 5 consumers of information, and there will be about 15 to 20 producers of information. Therefore, the penetration of mobility is going in for producers of information also on the very high end. And we have seen a lot of productivity improvement as well as high amount of return on investment on deploying mobility in enterprise. Therefore, I cannot agree more than what you have said on this mobility.
Great. And just another comment from Sukesh yourself. How important is this growing area of enterprise for the telco?
See, from a telco's perspective, what we see has happened in the recent past. We had voice as a big revenue earner for us. Slowly, we are now moving on to the data space where voice is stagnant or actually going down for us as a business, and data is the one which is going up. Today, about 17 to 18% of our revenues come from non-voice. So this is the real growth engine for us. And now, along with it, when you look at from an end-to-end complete solution perspective, the enterprise mobility piece, what can someone do with pure 3G or 2G? How can we bundle along applications which can help enable the organizations to do far more efficient working at their end? So that's a clear focus from our end. In fact, we have a vertical within our own business which is focusing purely on enterprise mobile applications and seeing what could be the need from the end enterprises like Mr. Dhandapani just mentioned. And we focus on providing that, partnering in the same with an ecosystem which consists of application developers like you and the device manufacturers as well, so that we can offer an end-to-end solution to the corporates. And this is not restricted only to the corporates. Actually, there's a lot of requirement coming in from the government space as well, wherein M-governance being a key focus area. A lot of M-governance applications, and I would relate it almost similar to enterprise kind of applications that are coming up from there as well.
I'm glad you said that. In fact, one of the large, I think, misconceptions or a limited perception that most of us have when we discuss enterprise mobility is that 1, it has to be a large enterprise. Not true. 2, mobility has to do with a mobile app. May not be true. And 3, it could be an NGO. It could be a rural enterprise. It could be someone who is a one-person organization that is actually having a mobile app that is connected back to an enterprise in the end but then the end user is actually millions of consumers all over the world. So let me just now pause for a moment and take the question to one of our product entrepreneurs on the stage, on the panel. My question is either for one of you guys, right? You jumped into this looking at it as an opportunity, right? The enterprise mobility space. Looking back now about 2 years, 3 years, what that you've been building, how real is this opportunity? Do you actually begin to see enterprises running off their shelves and saying, look, I want to subscribe to this and I want to deploy this? And if not, what do you think is causing it? Why not?
Can I take this?
You want to take this?
Yeah, I think, okay. So, looking back from our experience, when we initially, when we went to enterprises and we told them this is the product solution that we have, which will allow your employees to, consume information that you can publish, and it will give an accessibility to the employees to just not consume information, but also the ease and the mobile friendliness of consuming that information, because that was the key point. And when we started traversing the journey, and when we look back now, right, we see more and more demand from the consumers or the end users who are traveling more, who are having better and better devices, and they are asking for more and more relevant content that can help them know or be more learned or be more knowledgeable at some point of time. So looking at this, initially the push was more from from the enterprises to their employees, please download this app, and we are going to give you a lot of good material, probably from Harvard Business or Skillsoft or many other exciting content, right? And now I think there is a huge shift, because people have started consuming a lot and they would want to consume even more.
Let me pause you for a moment. Do you want to spend a quick half a minute and describe exactly what your offering is? Maybe the audience doesn't realize.
Sure. So we have a platform that we offer to enterprises, which allows the enterprises to look at publishing content. It could be rich media like a video, audios, presentations, surveys, etc. And they can distribute it to their employees. So, and an enterprise also would get just not the distribution mechanism of distributing content, but also analyzing the usage behavior and the user behavior patterns along with that. So that's what we, by and large, we offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me, same question to Bala. Bala, my understanding is that your business is actually providing an enterprise mobility platform to allow field sales and service personnel to be synced up in real time, right? Yeah. So tell us about it. I mean, this is something, this is the traditional enterprise mobility understanding most of us have. You heard about this 10 years ago, but how real is it? Is it any different today than what you saw it when what you saw when you began?
Yeah, I would say there are a couple of contributing factors. One is the entry barrier for an organization to adopt mobility. Earlier, it used to be, your PDAs, which are quite expensive. So it was the privilege of a few to go down the enterprise mobility path. What has happened is a lot of entry barriers have come down for organizations. Today, a 20-member organization can benefit from enterprise mobility just as well as a Wipro or a large enterprise can. And that's the key difference. It's becoming democratized. The technology with smartphones has become more democratized. People are able to relate more to what the technology can do for them. More importantly, what started off as productivity, in terms of email or calendar, it's increasingly shifting to core processes. When I say core processes, it could be a sales process which gets refined. It's not just stagnant, it's not the way it was conceived a few years ago. Take an example of a pharma representative who's actually going on the field, and he has to make certain number of doctor visits and so on. Now imagine, based on his location, you can actually pop in all the doctors of various fields around the location he is in. So suddenly, he's no longer following a very set beat plan. He's actually got more leads into, who are the doctors around him, what more can he do out of the time he has in hand. So I think enterprises are very keen to reimagine the processes. From a mobile, what a mobile can do, which is a significant shift from earlier. It's like, okay, this is my enterprise defined process, this is what I can adopt. And now it's shifting to, okay, mobile can offer so many things. It could offer a payment. It could, a service guy coming to your house to install a, Eureka Forbes machine. And now he says, sir, are you interested in an AMC? And you say, look, I am, but I don't have cash. I need to pay you by something else. So a mobile payment, by the way, you can pay it through your mobile. So these are significant, touch points, which are improving constantly. And we see that increasingly enterprises are, warming up to take on this kind of mobility.
Great. Mr. Dhandapani, for a manufacturing, automotive manufacturing organization such as yours, how would this be relevant to you? I mean, this is, of course, a field sales force application, but what is your, what do you think would be more relevant to a manufacturing business? And have you seen some of this already happen?
See, actually, for manufacturing, there are 3-pound strategies, actually. One is purely hygiene aspect of it. The hygiene aspect of it means, what I mean is applying for the leave letter and approval of leave letter, and CapEx and REVEX approvals, and many approvals are all there. They are all hygiene aspect of it, which are process oriented. And normally the excuses what the people used to give, generally that I am on tour, that I have very limited access to the mail, and I will come back and reply to your mail. And that type of features were removed from the exchange as early as in 2006. Okay, so that the hygiene aspect of is one thing, where the people try to do the office applications wherever they are, from any time they are in the position to access and do that one. The second type of initiative is, which is bringing operational excellence into the organization, either to improve the sales or to reduce the loss or a cost. The increase in the sales means the sales person who is meeting the dealer, he is empowered with the information, what is the credit exposure with the dealer, and what is the stock available there, which is the item moving there, what is the competition situation there. So he will be in a position to talk to the dealer much more effectively, and he will be in a position to push the sales and also have the collections much more effectively done. And coming to this operations and minimizing loss, think of a situation where that a breakdown is happening in important machine, where simultaneously that many people are informed that what's happening there. The maintenance guy has to maintain the machine. He should have the checklist, what he has got to do, what is the history of the breakdown, and how he has got to handle. That information is provided to him on mobile, and the planner, he has got to reschedule, and the salespeople, they have to give the customer their own rescheduling, and also the refine the promise what they have to give, and the accountant should bother about the cash flow. So the context-based computing, where that simultaneously multiple people need to take action, not sequentially. So that is what enabled in mobility, both for improving the sales and also avoid the losses and also minimize the cost. The third aspect of it, much more strategic, where you are trying to go much more closer to the customer, where I can give one of the applications, which is very much welcomed by our customers, that the moment they put the vehicle number, and they will get the complete history of the services what they have done, what type of problems their vehicle has undergone. That helps them in sequencing and scheduling their services, and also help them in improving their resale value. So all our initiatives are on 3-bound, and it is highly balanced, and we take projects on strategic initiatives and also on operational, bring more operational excellence. And also the hygiene aspect of it, where that the people time is really saved and brought a lot of agility to the organization. And the second aspect of it, what I already mentioned, is both for consumers of information like field force and other things, analysts and accountants, we try to give the information. And also for the producers of information, for the maintenance guy, where he has got to see the condition monitoring. He has been provided with a mobile device such that he will be in a position to capture the information in the shop floor. And periodically, that adherence and compliance is also very high, and we are in a position to even have the trouble-free maintenance for years together. That is how the mobility is, mobile applications are helping the people in our organization.
Okay. So Sukesh, right? Now, the telco's role, which is actually the pipe that is going to deliver this. Traditionally, we believed that the enterprise business line for telcos was to provide bandwidth and pretty much maybe some hosted services. But now, the critical services such as these, including consumer experience enhancement and so on, do you actually begin to see a lot of this happening within telcos in India? Do you see a lot of apps coming up? And how do you guys look at this?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I think there is a lot more excitement happening in this space now. We've been in this journey for the last 4 or 5 years, and I think it's last 12 months where we've started seeing a lot of traction in this space at the enterprise side. I think there was a lot of learning that needed to be done both for us as well as the enterprises to be fully convinced that this is something that can improve their efficiency. There was, I think all of us were aware that this can do wonders, but nobody was willing to take that first step. It's now, over the last 12 months, that we've started seeing a lot more enterprises being willing to take care of these applications. Because earlier it were the larger IT players that were really dominating and doing the end-to-end ITification of the organizations. But now the organizations are far more open at smaller entrepreneurs like you guys sitting here. If you ask me, there are two things that we are looking at. When we look at the white label services that we are pushing across, most of the space that we are getting interest from enterprises is more on Salesforce automation kind of thing, order management, a lot of things even on the device and the data security piece. With BYOD coming up, a lot more interest is there. Can I secure the device, or can I secure the data applications that are running on this device? Because more and more people are bringing their own devices. In fact, we also started hearing the buzzword. I was in Gartner in Goa. They started talking about BYOS, bring your own software. So even that's something that's probably going to hit us in the near future. So we are looking at providing these services where we work with entrepreneurs like you and develop solutions and services and reach out to the end customer, both in the large enterprise space as well as the medium enterprise space, and offer services. Largely the devices are there with the end customer, so bundling of the application as well as the connectivity part is something that we are offering. Here, the support that we need from people like you here is that, the requirement at the end customer stage is that how can you really understand the requirement for that customer? And a lot of time we've experienced that this scope of work continues for months and months and months because, things keep on changing. And so domain expertise is something that we would really look at from partners like you. Also, once the solution is implemented, there is a large requirement that happens of support thereafter, because the end user, who is the employee of the organization or a service partner of the organization, may not be that well versed with the application per se. And hence, a lot of investment needs to go in terms of training and ensuring that the service runs the way it should be. And that's where we would need support and offerings from all of you here. The second thing that we are opening up shortly, and that would be interest to all of you, is in sense of opening up the APIs at our end, so that most of you who have a very good solution available and have a set of customers that you are already going to, you could actually just plug and play into the APIs like location or charging or messaging, etc., and be able to offer an end-to-end service from your end as well. So because connectivity is going to be a core part of the service offering, and that's something that as a telco we would be enabling. I would say in the next 6 months or so, that infrastructure will be ready at our end, wherein you could just come in, plug and play, and use the APIs and move forward.
Great. That's so relevant to have the API bullet on that screen. One question to you guys, the entrepreneurs here, right? From your experience so far, what is the expectation that you have from an enterprise perspective as well as a telco perspective from offerings that you take? Because, end of the day, there are other issues that, enterprises may say, look, it's a great product, it's disruptive, I love it, but I don't want to deploy because I don't know who you are. You have zero credibility in the market. You just come out and you're 20 people shop, right? So is that an issue? Do you guys run into those types of things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's a very good price negotiation point as well. So we do get beaten down on price just on that aspect. The challenge there is, I think at some level, I think it's also connecting to the right person in the organization who has the appetite to take the risk with a player like us. And in most cases, when you make him succeed, that is, make the project succeed and really outstanding performance and outstanding results from the project, then we have a much easier play within the organization.
Right.
It kind of rolls out. You know, one organization, one division has done it, so the other division, just to catch up, they start picking it up and so on. So it's a double-edged sword in my opinion. So you have one opportunity to crack it well within the organization. If you mess it up, then yes, I mean, you are thrown by the wayside. But if you do well, there are a lot of people who are thinking, you know, hey, this is a disruptive technology, I need to invest more in this, and they support you all the way through the process.
Great. So let's throw open a couple of questions. I don't know how much time we have, but maybe one or two questions quickly from the audience. Anybody, any questions in the audience? Yes, ma'am. There's a microphone for that lady, please.
So my question is to Mr. Sukesh, Jain and Mr. Dhandapani too. What is the kind of B2C, you know, the consumer opportunities that you see within your businesses? Do you see within your customers, Mr. Jain, or do you see within your organization a need to reach out to your consumers on mobile phones? We've heard about digital media, and that's also, people talk about it being consumed on devices. So do you see that opportunity? What we have heard about is productivity, operational excellence. Where do you see the B2C play going?
Lot more. That's why I gave you that example where my customers can get access to the service credentials and service details of what they have. The complete history of the vehicle, he can have that particular view. The potential is quite high, and we have to prepare a good business case for that one. Once we get into a business, the opportunity will create its own demand. Okay, availability will create its own demand. We don't need to look for every time ROI and okay, there are good opportunities. Not necessarily. Business will own it.
I don't know if you meant B2B2C or B2C.
B2C.
Okay. So because I think I tend to agree with what Mr. Dhandapani has said, because right now we are even in the stage of B2B getting E-enabled. I think B2B2C may follow a bit later.
Hi, my name is Siri.
Yes.
Here. So it is in continuation what you said, B2B, and we have seen some enterprises taking up these applications to their sales force. Is there something which people are also looking to enable the retailers, for that matter? For example, ordering. Do you see that will there be a market that enterprise will go a step beyond outside the organization and enable the retailers as well?
Absolutely. To my mind, the retailer segment is part of B2B only. It's actually an extended family for the organization, and I'm sure Mr. Dhandapani can add to that. I mean, we have some more automobile manufacturers who've actually extended it right to their last retail chain as well.
In our kind of business, it is a more single dealer, I mean dealer dedicated to our business. Unlike US, where that one dealer is buying and selling multiple brands.
Multi-brand.
Okay, here it is a dealer management system which is tailor-made for that particular our business. It has been already deployed. But there are several opportunities. We also sell spare parts. Spare part business is as high as 1,500 crores in our business. So there are several stockists, thousands of stockists is available. So that enabling that one and connecting them is also a very good scope where I can.
So it's not been done as yet.
Okay,
is that what you're saying?
It's not yet exploited fully.
Okay.
Okay, there's one quick, that's the last question, please. Go ahead.
Here.
So, yesterday's sessions talked about the minimum viable product and things like hypothesis testing. What I want to ask the entrepreneurs here is in the B2B domain where it's not that easy for an entrepreneur to go ahead and ask someone within an organization to test a new product, the version 1.0. So how do you do that part of your work to ascertain the requirements that you think are actually making sense to the end user who is not at public but within a specific organization?
So I think just to probably it's a good question actually, because initially, so what is it that we followed was we basically looked at carving out a niche, okay, and we thought about positioning the solution that we were building and product. I mean, the productization happened a little later. Initially, it was more to do with we targeted a niche. We defined a scope and we went to a particular customer within a business, and we asked them whether these are your problem areas or these are your pain areas. And once we got some relevant feedback to it, we basically looked at going back and defining certain solution to this. This happened probably while we were not really even productized, I'm repeating. Right? So at the solutioning stage is something that we did, and then probably we got some certain feedbacks whether there is a requirement like this. So in our case, it was more to do with, we went to enterprises and we told them, your people are traveling a lot, they do not really have sufficient time to spend on the machines, why not give them something on the mobile devices? And this learning can then potentially help you do skill enhancement in your organizations, etc.
So I think it also, if I can jump in, I think it also has to do with how much your enterprise customer is convinced about the value proposition of the product, in which case they might actually assist you in doing the testing voluntarily. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry if I may have jumped in. If there's any other comments, would you please take it offline? I think we're at the end of this session, right? I have a couple of multiple. Sure. So that's the question over there. Yeah.
Hi. This question is for the other side, Airtel, Mr. Jain. How do you reach out, or how do you recommend startups reaching out to you from the B2B perspective? Do they have customers, or do you recommend starting off trials with your customers? How do you foresee the whole process?
So today, I agree, it's a very fractured process in terms of, it's very difficult. I'm sure people sitting here would know it may be very difficult for you guys to even approach someone relevant within an organization like ours. It's a tough job. So as I mentioned earlier, that we are planning to open up our APIs soon, and hence we will build in a business development layer in between whom you can easily approach and be able to use the APIs. Otherwise, we have the enterprise mobility solution team, as I mentioned, a vertical within my team which handles only mobile enterprise applications. You have my email address, otherwise I'll just share it with you. You could send it across to me. But yes, there is no real structured way today that is there for people like you to be able to approach us. That's a gap at our end as well.
It's also maybe a matter of evolution, because we had similar scenario early days of mobile VAS, right? It was very disparate, you didn't know, and then they had circle-wise VAS managers who would make the call. So there are a lot of issues, but I think it got to a point of evolution.
It will evolve slowly, and as I said, opening up a lot of our ecosystem to people like you to just plug and play will help in that sense.
Yeah. I have one question for Mr. Dhandapani, since he's representing a very large group, just to end this discussion. Sir, we understand that these are large groups and there are a lot of things at stake. But if there is a disruptive app out there from one of the developer community here, what are the things that you would be worried about in trying it? Would you want them to come with a large, an alliance player, like a large enterprise player, or would you be actually willing to have a lab or something? Is there anything that you would do from an enterprise perspective?
No, it is contextual, actually, that we always welcome path-breaking solutions, or anything is available and made known and well demonstrated. We don't worry about the background and other things. So long they are willing to work with us, and so long the confidentiality and other, those things are all secretarial aspect of it which are required for taking these type of assignments, we are always willing to look at it. Right. There are certain applications where the multiple people are using and a high amount of organizational efforts are required. Those things and all we will be depending upon people like Airtel for example, our exchange and other things and all, BlackBerry applications and other things. But specific solutions, even if it is a small solution and if it is very important, and if it is going to make sense for our business, we always welcome people and approaches. I mean, my email ID is also available. You can even collect it and they can approach us.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. So thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. A great session.